So I'm back with a new tier list video, but this one's a bit different. It's not based on how powerful a killer is. It's basically how fun they are to verse. It's gonna go from how fun they are and then descend to how boring they are. So top is fun, bottom is boring. You can see it from there. Basically, yeah, you have these are the middle. Okay, it's a bit better than neutral, and meh is a bit worse than kind of neutral to go against. I could make a middle one, just I don't care, but it's I don't really care. So I'm gonna start off with Pig, and I think she's a fun killer to go against. Normally, the reason why people would say that a killer is boring is because they have less counter, is because they don't have counterplay really, or they have less counterplay. And Pig doesn't really have much loop counterplay, so she's fun to go against. The only thing I really don't like going against stealth killers, just because I feel like I don't know, it's like I think they're kind of boring to face in a way. Now she's pretty fun to face for a stealth killer, but other stealth killers are pretty boring. That's why she's not super fun, just because of the stealth factor, I guess. Billy, I'm gonna put him in super fun. He's just when I get a Billy, I don't complain unless they have ruin, because I hate ruin on Billy. It's so annoying to face. Although I am a killer main, so I don't get that much. Uh, his chainsaw can punish you, but you really have to be out of position. I really haven't faced a Billy that knows how to curve yet, and that's partly because I only played on console and crossplay is sort of new, still kind of not really, but yeah. Billy's fun. Clown, I'm gonna give him boring. I wouldn't say he's super boring because he can't just teleport through uh walls and hit you, but I wouldn't say he's actually. I'll give him meh, just because he still does have counterplay, and especially now since not all of his bottles are always going to be used to slow you down, they might be used to speed him up, which is more fun to go against because you can see more. Demo, I'd say he's I don't know. I'm leaning more towards fun. I'm gonna put him fun right now. His shred is kind of annoying to go against in a chase, but I mean, it takes skill to use, so you're not getting outplayed just because somebody can hear well and holds M2 for a couple seconds and can track you. I have mine at M2. So yeah, his takes more skill to use, so I'd say it's more fun. Doctor, I'd say meh too, just because I really don't like going against Doctor. It's kind of annoying to just get shocked and shocked and shocked and shocked, and then you can't. If like I don't hide, but when I do, I don't normally hide like as a playstyle. But when I do hide, it's kind of annoying just to get found because he shocks you. And then normally why I'd hide is because I'm in a terrible position, maybe dead on hook, exhausted, and don't have my decisive strike up anymore, sort of, and I'm injured or something like that. And then he can just really exploit me when I'm very invulnerable. So yeah, that's not good, and that's why I don't like facing him. That and doctors are always really sweaty, so Freddie super boring. I don't think of many. I like he's probably the killer that when I see the dream timer thing, I'm like, ugh, I know this game's gonna suck. It's just gonna suck because you can be really bad with Freddy and still make the game a nightmare for the other people. Just because bad Freddy's normally have ruin because they crutch on that, and ruin's my least favorite perk to go up against the survivor. I don't really think I have to talk much about Freddy just because everyone knows that he's super stupid to go up against, and I really cannot wait for his nerfs. Papa, was actually pretty fun to go up against just because I run Sprint Burst and Dead Hard. Those are my two main exhaustion perks, and I normally do run Sprint Burst now, but I will run Dead Hard a lot. But Sprint Burst is a pretty big counter to Leatherface, so I don't really find myself out of position to get one-shotted often. So for me, Bubba's pretty fun to go up against. If I'm not getting one-shotted, then it is fun to play. He's basically just an M1 killer, unless you're out of position. And since I'm normally in a good position, then it doesn't really hurt me. So it's kind of fun to do those interactive chases where it takes skill to actually win them for both sides. Less for the survivor. I mean, it takes more skill for him, so you know that if you go down, he's good. Ghostface, I'd say, uh, this one's probably a meh just because I hate the fact that you can be staring at him and not see him, and he can just stalk you and expose you, and then you have to do a stupid chase while you're exposed. And normally you can just throw it on a couple pallets and loop it out, but it's not always the case. And I don't like being one-shotted, which is why I do not like some other killers that I'll talk about later. Yeah, Ghostface is pretty simple though. He's just stealth. He gets on you, gets that free hit or free one-shot hit if you're out of position. I bring sprint bursts a lot of the time, so I'm not normally going to be out of position like that. but I don't think he's fun to go up against. I really just don't. Sure, he's a number one killer, but he can really exploit you when you're invulnerable, just like certain killers. And I hate that about killers when they can just get you when you're down, when you're not doing the best. Hag, I would say, is really, she's pretty boring. I mean, there's no chase interaction with her because a good hag will just peel off of you at the start of the game to set up, and the only way to counter hag is really just to follow her around and kind of torture her the whole game, just destroy every trap, and that's not fun either because they're just gonna stop chasing you or commit to you. And either way, it's just you throw it on a pallet, she traps it, goes around it, or she breaks it if you can make distance. You basically just run into a trap and she gets a free hit. Running into a trap pulls your camera into her, and I really hate that. I just hate when I run into a trap and my camera just flicks to it. But just hag is pretty hard to counter. There's one way really you can counter a hag, and that's only if you have comms that'll work, and not really anyway else. I'm gonna put Huntress in fun, and that's only if she doesn't have iridescent head. If she has an iridescent head, then she probably drops down to like. I wouldn't say she's actually super boring with iridescent head unless she's insane, but it's still kind of funny to go up against an iridescent head Huntress just because it's challenging and it's not like it. I don't know. Maybe it would be low, but yeah, up here, normal add-on Huntress without exhaustion either is pretty fun. Yeah, there's not much to say. It takes a lot of skill to be good with Huntress. So if they down you with her hatchets, then you know you were outplayed. It's not you hold M2 for a couple seconds and then instead win the chase. Um, Legion, he's going down to boring. I don't think he's the worst, but he's not fun to play against either because he just stabs you in Feral Frenzy and you're forced to mend and just work on gens injured, and he probably is going to have thanatophobia, so you do the gens much slower, and that's so boring to do gens, especially slower. Yeah, Michael, same thing with him, sort of. You don't really get chased by him. Every time I go up against a Michael, he spends most of the first chase with me staring at me. That's it. Stare at me, and I'm just crouching, trying not to feed him until eventually I will just stand up and teabag him, sort of, just because I don't want to just play that ring around a rosy crouching business. Like, it's not very fun. And yeah, I end up kind of sabotaging my team, but I just don't have the patience, and that's why I don't like Michael. He's not very fun to verse. So originally I was thinking about putting Nurse in these tiers, and my reasoning was that to go meh and boring tier, but my reasoning was that it's almost always a baby nurse, and that's why I don't like playing a nurse, because baby nurses they'll give up, and then you just basically have 5 gens to do and escape, and there's nothing. You have no chase interaction, and that's the only reason why I would probably play Survivor. But if the nurse kind of knows what she's doing, it's not actually that boring to keep on trying to guess what a nurse is going to do, in my opinion. It's kind of fun. Like, I know a lot of people don't like having to put stuff in between them and other killers, like with Deathslinger, but I think with Nurse, it's more she outskilled you if you got her, not she can freely zone you by holding up her gun, and then she shoots you, and then she reels you in, and the survivor can't do really anything at that point. Sure, you can't loop a Nurse, but Nurse, there's a different way to play against her, and it's pretty effective too if the Nurse isn't a pro Nurse. But yeah, I'm gonna go on to Plague. I like Plague. I really do like Plague, but I don't like versing her as much because same thing with Legion. At the start of the game, you puke on someone and you go find more people, and then she gets you when you're injured. Like I said, vulnerable. If you have monitored and abuse, then if she has monitored and abuse, then she kind of catches you off guard, and you're just easy for her to kill in her corrupt form. So it's just a lot of bad situations. You have a boring early game against her, a boring late game, uh, and not fun in betweens too, because you're just exposed you're injured the whole time and coughing, and your screen's just kind of gross to look at because it's all green. And yeah, Spirit, really boring. It's probably my second least favorite killer to go up against. Again, hold them too, and the chase is over. If the Spirit has ears. Although there is a bit of counterplay you can try to do, like certain things, but against a good Spirit, it probably won't work. So yeah, not very fun. Here's my next killer that I absolutely hate going up against. And this might not be a normal pick from some people, but I absolutely hate Trapper. It's just not fun to go up against them. Same reason with Hag. Just I don't know. I just find him worse. Not that Trapper's overpowered or anything, or even strong, or even okay. He's really, really, really bad, but it's just fun. He's not fun to go up against. So it's he doesn't chase you at the start because a good Trapper will probably not chase you at the start because he hasn't trapped up yet. So there you have that thing where he just hits you if he can get the hit, and then goes back to setting up. Then it's the same thing with Hag, except you don't need to do that as much as with Hag, where you have one survivor basically just dedicate their life to disarming every trap. And when you're in a chase, more mid to late game, it's just you're always on the edge of a trap. It's so like it really like is anxiety inducing, and it's just like, ooh, if I vault this window, am I gonna step in a trap? And if you do, chase is over. So boring. You have to struggle out. You were healthy, could have led on a nice chase, and there you go on the hook. It's like how what so boring to go up against. Like I hate it. Yeah. Wraith, I'm gonna say he's probably one of the most fun killers to go up against. He's gonna be a bit more strong, but so counterable now. And actually, it'll probably be better because he'll go slower while uncloaking. So with sprint burst, you can get a tiny bit more distance. Um, but I think Wraith is really fun just because he has nothing to help him in a chase. Nothing at all besides the uncloak speed boost, but it won't affect me because I know how to play around it. Good survivors know how to do that. Yeah, he has nothing to help him in a chase, and that's fun because chases are fair that way. When they're, well, not really fair. It's survivor can just do whatever they want, really within reason, if the killer doesn't have perks to help them out. But I like that. This is a fun tier list, not a fair tier list. Tier list. One, I'm gonna say he's the first killer that I want to put in okay, and I probably would put him in fun. Actually, I'm gonna move demo down to okay actually because I don't like the fact that he can just freely zone you. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm gonna put Oni in okay, and I'm considering fun too, but you can't go really wrong with an Oni. He's kind of fun to face. It's just his most common add-on that I see ran is the top knot add-on, and that's so boring to face because you just die in chase. He charges almost immediately and he gets you. And that's not fun to go up against. It's not fun to have a killer with no power and then he gets a power and then if he sees you, you're dead. I don't like that. But his basic form is pretty fun to go up against because he's just trying to get the blood from you. And without the top knot thing, he's not that bad to go up against. But I do think I wouldn't mind facing an Oni, and that's why he's up here. I probably would put him fun. It's just I haven't faced him in a while, so I don't really know as much as like I don't feel it. He's Deathslinger is another killer that I would say is super boring. It's so boring to just not be able to loop a killer. Unlike Nurse though, where it's more she outskills you. He can pull up his gun instantly. Just up down up down up down, make you nervous, zone yourself. I try not to actually fall for the zoning because a lot of times they'll try to zone you, and so you can just hold W, but then there's a chance that they just shoot, they take the shot, and then what do? You're holding the thing at your neck, and it's just dragging you in and in and in and in, and it's so boring when you just get hit and then he reloads, and then he tries again. And thing with this slinger too is it's just shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload. There's no he gets close to you and you can stun him or you can loop him or he has to get close enough to hit you. It's just shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, hit you, hit, reload. That's what it is. It's not. He won't try to M1 you. That's not really how they play. Executioner, I would say, is another meh killer. Just because I don't like actually I don't know. He's a pretty meh killer in my opinion, and I'm actually gonna move him up a bit just because I feel like he's not as bad as these killers are. Executioner, he can kind of freely zone you too, but it's a bit more costly than it is with Deathslinger and what other killer can zone you? With Deathslinger and Demo. Uh, and that's not fun. And it's also not fun to be in those positions where you can't vault a window, you can't vault a pallet, because you're gonna get hit by his attack. And unlike Huntress, he's also fast. So not fast, but like not unlike Huntress because she's fast too. She's just a bit slower than 1.15. So but he's faster than Huntress too, so loops are a bit harder to do with him. And he can just play around your crutch perks too. And I run a lot of crutch perks. I run DS, and I like to run Adrenaline, and I like to run Sprint Burst, and I like to run some fun perk along with that, like Autodidact. And with him, I can't use my DS, so it's really boring to just get tunneled out of a cage, and that's what normally happens. So yeah, Blight is the next one. I'm gonna say he's okay, just because it's same thing with Nurse. It's really hard to counter him if he's good, but he outskills you if he's good. So it's not just M2 and you win the chase. It's more you made a mistake and then he gets you pretty easily, or you don't make a mistake and he can still possibly get you, or you could still possibly extend the chase a bit. So yeah, that's kind of fun to go up against in my opinion. Last killer, the twins. Ugh, I want to say she's boring. Honestly, they're pretty boring to face. It's just you get ahead and then bring out the victory, or you have a couple people injured and you bring out the baby, and the baby is just so annoying to face, just because he's just so fast, and it's just so annoying to just, I don't know, die instantly to it, because I don't hear him coming until it's too late, and it's too late by then. Um, he can lunge faster than your sprint burst too, so I've been hit through my sprint burst by him. Uh, yeah, he's not very. The twins aren't very fun to face. Slugging's not fun to go up against, really. I would rather be slugged than camped and tunneled, but I still don't like being slugged, especially since that's how twins play. So yeah, that's my tier list though. This was a longer tier list, but I I don't know. This is just my opinion, really. I really don't like facing these killers. These killers are okay to face. Maybe Oni's a bit higher. Maybe Clown's a bit lower. And I really think these killers are fun to go up against. I will not complain when I see these. I won't really complain when I see these killers. And I will complain if I see these killers, but I probably won't complain if I see these. It's how it is. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, I think that's the end of this. Thanks and bye.